Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Susan Sherwood. I am a project manager with Wendell Companies. We are the architecture and engineering firm hired by the city of Lawrence to study the two projects that we're talking about this week. One being the multimodal center at the corner of Bob Billings and Crestline, as well as the location of a downtown transfer center for the university and city buses. I have with me my partner, Scott Neal, who is going to come over here into the camera because we can't seem to get our laptops work in here. He is a senior architect and also a principal with our company, and he will be leading the discussion today. We don't have a very large group. We might want to go around and introduce who's on the phone. I don't know how you feel, April. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, if you stand over here a little bit, they can see you better. I think there's a reflection.
Yeah.
On this thing. There you go. You're good.
Yeah, so like Sue said, my name is Scott Neal. I'm a principal with Wendell. I am the project architect for this project. And I think if we went around for the people online, that might be helpful, just so we understand who else is here. And then we'll get into what the project entails, and then get your thoughts on important considerations and factors. So if we want to start, do you want to do that? And I'll grab my laptop.
Sure.
And just start with Gary.
We got Gary. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, Gary Reinheimer. I'm a senior project engineer with the city of Lawrence. I'm the building guy.
Good to see you, Gary. Then we have Mike. Wasikowski.
Yeah, my name is Mike Wasikowski with the city of Lawrence. I am the chair of the Public Transit Advisory Committee. I'm also a data scientist, analyst, and project manager.
Excellent. And Pat Collette.
Hi, I'm Pat Collette. I'm chair of the Multimodal Transportation Commission with the city.
And we have Felice.
Hi, Felice Laverne. I'm the transit planner too with Lawrence Transit.
And is it Mako?
Hi, this is Mako Kwa Jones. I'm the chair of the City of Lawrence Sustainability Advisory Board. I have an environmental law and policy background, and I'm currently candidate for Lawrence City Commission.
Excellent, nice to meet you. And we have Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan Ladke with HG Consult. We're partnered with Wendell, primarily the local site civil firm. So we'll be assisting with the civil engineering for the site design for the various concepts and plans.
And Margareta.
I'm Margareta DeFries with K Transportation Services.
Oh, you have to be the microphone. Hold on, I'm coming to you. Because the microphone includes everyone in our room. No, that's okay. There you go.
I'm Margareta DeFries with K Transportation Services.
Okay, and I see someone with a code number on here. I'm thinking it might be Allie.
Hi, yeah, this is Allie. I'm actually gonna have to leave in a few minutes, but my name is Allie Girth. I'm with KU Facilities Planning and Development.
Good to see you. I think did I get everyone or are we missing anyone? Oh, but it looks like Amber Holy Cross, who is our architectural practice leader from Wendell, is on the line, but I'm not sure if she's actually on or if she's just listening in.
I'm just listening in. Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Okay, so this is a joint meeting of the city and the university's advisory boards and committees. And basically, this is the first opportunity we've had to interface with some of you. We have met some of you previously, I think, and to get even an opportunity to voice your ideas, thoughts, concerns, needs for both the downtown transfer center as well as the multimodal facility. This is kind of your meeting. It's your opportunity to ask us questions, to give us your thoughts and ideas. There's no structured agenda today. So we wanted to keep it loose. It's a smaller group. We do have, actually, we have a gentleman in the audience here who did not introduce himself. So I'll give him the opportunity to introduce himself as well. Just want to say your name.
name's Lance Fay. I am Vice Chair of Public Transportation Advisory Committee.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Lance.
So I think you guys can see some of us, but not all of us. So we apologize. We are kind of experimenting here with all the technology in this room. I think IT has got us at least plugged in. We do have to use this microphone for you folks to be able to hear us. So if there's a delay, it's because I'm running around the room. We're pretty spread out here at the university. Oh, we just lost our. Oh, okay, keeps going on and off, of course. So just give me a second here. If you have questions, I'll get you to the right person for the answer on our end. With that, I don't know if you want to all just jump in there, raise your hands.
We're gonna give a summary of the project.
You're gonna go over high level? Okay, Scott, you probably need this. Do you need this? Okay, so Scott's gonna give you all a summary of the options and what we're looking at in detail here. Before we go on.
Okay.
You're gonna have to mute and use this. It's not gonna work. It didn't work for Margaret either. All right, so let's use that.
All right,
Try it.
so we're microphoning.
Can they hear us?
You're good? All right, you guys can hear me?
You're good.
So rather than showing a whole bunch of options for what the sites are and what have you, we're going to leave it relatively generic because we really haven't done any work yet. So I wanted in your mind to just think about a site that is there's two areas we're looking at. One is going to be on Bob Billings and Crestline, which is an existing site. And we don't have any preconceived notions on that. That's going to be the main multimodal site. And it's going to be, the existing program is going to be for around 10 buses. We may be bringing in a couple of intercity coaches to that site. And for the most part, it's going to be waiting and toilet rooms and just basic amenities that you would want for the traveling public. So that's the main multimodal site. So that's going to be a transfer area out in the I would say closer to the university. And then we have a downtown location that may either operate on the street or be one of working in conjunction with some of the surface parking lots, and that would be somewhere around 3 to 5 bus transfer somewhere downtown. And the current planning of the amenities would be mostly from the idea of the bus operators being able to have a place for a bathroom or what have you. So with that, there's nothing that's set in stone. That was the basic planning that was done a few years ago, but wanted to get input on like what ifs. So if we're downtown, for instance, what are the things that would be fundamentally important in that location to attract ridership or increase ridership? And, always, of course, we're interested in moving people and, safely moving people. And then out at Bob Billings, it would really be, well, is there an opportunity to engage the community similarly, as far as amenities and knowing that there's a successful bike trail already in place. So along those lines, I just wanted to give that as far as the general, parameters and where the programming's led to date. And from there, we can add on to it as needed based on your comments.
All right. Do you want to just go around the Zoom tiles? Gary, you get to be the lucky guy. You're the first one on the screen today.
Oh, I'm more helping make it happen. So I'm not looking for anything particular. I'm more putting the pieces together.
Is there anything from the city engineer's view or the city's view that would be constraints that you want us to consider when we're looking at concept designs?
No.
Okay.
Are we looking for feedback, sorry, for both sites at once? Are we doing one site in particular? right
There is-
now?
Yep, either way, if you have commentaries, we can move between the whiteboards here, and what we'll do is we're gonna be tracking them here on these virtual Post-it notes here. So if you've got a comment for the multimodal, just let us know that's what you're talking about. We'll put it on that slide. If you're looking for the downtown, tell us, and we'll just, there's no real format here. We're trying to keep it a little bit looser, just to kind of spur some conversation. And this can be there's no bad question, there's no bad idea, there's no bad comment. So please just, whatever's in your thought, please share it with us.
Cool. Does anybody need a visual or anything to know where we're talking about, or do we all feel good to give comments on things?
We could put do you want to start with the Bob Billings site? Just put it up there, Scott. Do you have it on your laptop? Sure. Scott's going to share his screen quickly and put the Bob Billings up. So maybe we'll do that first, but we'll just move through. If you think it'll be easier.
It might help. We were walking the site this morning, and it was good to be out there and kind of imagine what something might look like, or being near a multi-use path. How close or far from the curb do we want the building to be to activate the space? Kind of anything that you can think of.
Yeah, the downtown site plans are a little bit sketchier than the Bob Billings. We can put up a pretty good clear picture. The GIS mapping for downtown might not be easy for people to visualize, but we'll put it up there. You can probably get it right out of the PowerPoint from this morning, Scott. I think it's right in there. And from a community perspective, I guess we're looking for the advisory committee to give us big picture policy items as well. Are there concerns? Are there certain needs that need to be met? Are there gaps in service? Are there gaps in connectivity to certain groups of people, or just the community in general? I know several of the downtown sites we visited this morning were very close in proximity to some of the community activity, as well as Massachusetts Street in Vermont, and down in the area where a lot of the businesses operate, but also to some of the community centers. It sounds like, from what we could visualize. Whereas the Bob Billings site is very connected to the university, but even still a little bit outlying. So I guess if there's any commentary from the committee on community type big picture policy issues, we like to hear about those as well, because they might help us. Oh, here we go. We've got the Bob Billings site. So do you want to highlight the corner of the site that we're actually looking at activating? See if we can annotate this for you. So this is the site that's right near the Dole Center and the Performing Arts Center on the university campus, or just outlying the university campus. Are you sharing something? Because it's not showing up here.
Should be.
No, it's not. I think we have a delay. Oh, here it comes. There you go. Okay. Can you all see this aerial? Yes, we're getting head nods. So this is the corner of Crestline and Bob Billings Parkways. For those of you who are familiar with this site, it does have quite a steep incline going from Bob Billings back towards the Dole Institute. It was like 20 or 30 feet in difference in topography. So Scott is going to try to draw for you the area of the site that we're actually studying as part of the multimodal facility. The delay is pretty significant here on the Wi-Fi. Here we go.
Oh, so we can go much farther east.
Yes.
Drive.
I'm sorry, Gary, say that again.
We can go much farther east, all the way to that next drive past the two buildings.
Yes, you might want to stretch that out, Scott, to show that.
So are we envisioning demolishing that warehouse there then?
That is a possibility, but that's what this is all to determine. Those buildings are free game, I guess. I don't know if that's a good way to put it. We have used potential use of the whole site down to that next drive. Now, do we have to? No.
You want to cut it off like right in there somewhere. Somewhere in between.
Down to, yeah, not quite that far. I know we probably got a delay here.
Yeah. We're on a pretty big delay between what you folks are seeing on Scott's laptop versus what we're seeing here in the room. So give us a second here. Zoom isn't cooperating very well today.
Not quite that far.
Yeah. Yeah. So somewhere in between Crestline and the second driveway area right here is what we'll be looking at, including whether or not the warehouse maintenance facilities can stay, should stay, or should they go in order to make it a more, a better enhanced, development opportunity. At the end of the day, we're looking at 10 bus slips and ancillary, amenities, including somewhere around a 5,000 square foot building to support the service at the site. We have not put any designs together. We really are just looking at the green space right now and looking at the opportunities over the next 2 days. After we hear from you folks, as well as the other stakeholder groups, we'll start to put pen to paper to develop some design options on how we can reuse this site and optimize it for the transit use. So seeing the site and knowing its location, is there any comments from the advisory committee members relative to any concerns or issues, ideas?
I'm not sure how you could use all of that space between Crestline and the line on the east side without demolishing those warehouses. There's not a lot of space on either side of them for a bus to be able to get through. And I don't think that those buildings really have a lot inside of them in terms of what would be useful for repurposing for a multimodal transfer facility.
Right. We would not repurpose any part of the existing buildings.
And then if we decide not to use that space to the where the building currently has its footpad and to the right of it, I'm not really sure we have enough room for a transfer facility on that, especially not if we have to start excavating to try and level out the area so that the buses have easy ingress and egress from the area.
Scott, you want to answer that?
Yeah, we walked the site this morning. And we do have the site grading, so I guess that's it's a maybe. We have a project for Lynchburg, Virginia, where we had a similar challenging site, and through tiered retaining and what have you, we were able to get the project to work. So, not saying. Not disputing what you're saying. We know that's one of the core challenges here. But acreage wise, it's more than adequate outside of the grading to accommodate it.
It's deceptively large when you're on site, or it doesn't come across as large as it really feels when you walk the site. I was kind of surprised too, looking at Google Maps and stuff, but it's felt pretty big.
Hold on here. I'm running the mic here. We have a question in the room.
So I would like to know a little more about how buses would get in and out of the site, and if there would need to be any additional turn lanes or traffic signal improvements in order for that to be done effectively, safely.
Right. So we were talking about that extensively this morning. And interestingly enough, the traffic on Bob Billings, if you've been out there, is pretty intense. They go pretty fast. There's 4 lanes of it. There's a couple medium breaks, but it's probably not ideal for buses that would be transitioning in and out of a site. But the Crestline traffic is actually not that bad. We do understand that there is some traffic congestion on Crestline during events at both the Lead Center and the Bob Dole Center, but those are generally in the evenings and the weekends and are sporadic. So I think what Scott and his team of architects is looking at doing is really optimizing the crest line ingress and egress for the majority of the bus movements. That's not to say that we don't have to do a traffic study, because we are going to have to do a traffic study. That will come once the options for this site, which there will be 3 that we will develop by the end of this week. Once we have those options in hand, Scott's team will work with the engineering teams to assess what the traffic impacts would be and whether or not we will need any additional turning lanes or any signalization. We are going to try to avoid that at all possible. It's very costly and probably not necessary. Especially as I can't remember who said it earlier. Maybe it was Felice said that when you're out there on the site, the aerial is a little deceptive. It's a pretty long jaunt from the intersection at Crestline and Bob's Building back to where the curb cut is existing on the site. So there's plenty of room, we feel, for the buses to get in and out of the site safely. It's like the view just doesn't give you the depth of the site to be able to appreciate it from the computer, but yeah, we're not too worried about that issue at this point in time. Can you follow up?
So what I'm thinking of as a bus rider and as the buses are coming, particularly from the east, they're going to have to make a left turn against traffic to get in, and then so I'm curious as to how that's going to work given the traffic volume. So I looking and having been on that area recently, I'm kind of envisioning some bottlenecking of traffic there. And so I'm wondering if they're considering what can be done to minimize that, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So once we have an option in hand and the engineers start to look at the traffic flow and volumes, we'll have to assess whether we need to mitigate any of that or not in order to make the bus movements work. But yes, that will be the kind of the next step into details once we get through understanding how the buses could operate on the site. Once we figure out what those options and opportunities are, then we'll figure out those details. But yes, we will have to complete that study as part of the next phase of the project. Anyone else in the room or online with any other commentary?
This is Makokwa. So a couple of thoughts that I had was, so there was not a formal study, but an informal study done recently that showed where downtown, where the buses currently meet up and pick up people, there was higher levels of air pollution, higher emissions levels right there, which, is right in front of the library. So you're talking about, young kids, families, elderly, that are breathing in that air pollution. And so I was wondering if there's ways to mitigate that for the downtown site. Obviously the Bob Billings site, you're going to have a lot more dissipation because it's more open, but downtown you have more like close proximity buildings that keep that air pollution down. And then secondly, I'm thinking about the safety of bus riders. So if you have that incline and, when it snows or rains, that's going to be a safety hazard for people with limited mobility issues or, mothers with young children or people carrying groceries. And definitely, even though there is a bike lane at Bob Billings, making that incline during inclement weather conditions is going to be more difficult for riders to access the transfer station. Whereas downtown, that's not a problem. And, I like the idea of having the bus station near, Mass Street and right near the library, which reaches a wide audience and the people that need the bus system. But there's just that issue of how do we, when the bus is idle, how do we cut down on that air pollution that people are breathing in? Just thinking about little kids and, sitting, waiting for their parents and just breathing in those, the fumes from the buses.
If I can chime in on the bus fumes issue, a couple of things. First, we are trying to enforce a new policy that anytime a bus is idled for longer than 3 minutes, they should be shutting off the engine to try and minimize those kinds of polluting emissions. Obviously not perfect because we can't guarantee that every driver is going to follow that policy, but that's what our aim is, that it should basically, as long as it's not like dead of winter or the highest heat of the summer when they have to keep HVAC running, it should be feasible. And then on a second point with that, we are moving to get electric buses into our fleet, which would necessarily have no emissions on them. I don't have the exact timing. I know that we ordered 5 as a result of getting last year's Low or No grant. And we are applying for a 6th and 7th bus and associated charging equipment to go with them for FY 2021. Obviously, 7 buses is not our entire fleet, but it's my goal that we get it to be fully electric at some point in the future.
We'll get the 5 buses in 2022, and then if we win this year, that'll be 2023.
Okay, thank you, Felice.
Yeah, and I'm not sure we have a lot to add to that. That's, as far as diesel goes, that's going to be a reality to any of the transfer centers. So I think what was said is on point. So having the BEBs, battery electric bus, that's a good step. And then of course, hybrids are decent as well. A lot of times we see hybrid fleets get shifted to more urban routes because of the density in general. You also asked about snow and ice. I think at Bob Billings, I think that's one of the challenges that we have to look at as well is, where is ride hail? Where is Kiss and Ride located? How is the bus transfer happening? How do we maintain that, that 5% cross slope so nobody's slipping? And probably most importantly is just making sure that we have, we have coverage and canopies for those areas so that we are protected from freezing rain as much as possible. Now, for instance, one thing I would add is, and I don't know if since this is a think tank session, we have done geothermal snowmelt systems, and a couple of things that are interesting about that is that it does mitigate the slip and fall situation. The other thing is we found that it also extends the life of the building because you're not introducing chemicals or admixtures to melt snow. You're doing it in a more sustainable way. So the infrastructure itself seems to maintain. In fact, we have a project in Kalamazoo, Michigan that to this day still looks like the day it's open. It opened, and that's 15 years old now.
Would that still be an option for the downtown location, or?
That we'd have to look at, because even though we say it's geothermal, you still need boiler assist. So I think that really starts getting into a conversation on where you would locate, those things and how much of a footprint we have. And in order to do a snow melt system, you do have to remove sidewalk. It is a coil system with glycol in it that goes in the slab itself. So I wouldn't discount it, but it'd be a situation where, where do you locate that?
And I'm assuming the public safety aspect of each of these situations is going to be part of the traffic study?
No.
Well, the traffic would take into account the safety from a traffic point of view. The public safety would be more a discussion on how do we how do we handle, sight lines? How are we handling emergency call boxes, closed circuit TV? I'm a firm believer in the most successful security is to activate the site itself, have more people, give people a reason to be there. Crime doesn't like a lot of witnesses, so so if you can activate it, even small projects. We had a project in Fort Wayne where all we did is introduced some nice gardens and a raised stage. So it really became a place that people would come to look at the flower planting and eat lunch. And all of a sudden, it wasn't a very popular place for crime because so many people were kind of just taking a stroll down there. So if that's something we can, capture for both sites, I think the downtown by nature is such an active area. I think that's probably easier than Bob Billings.
And one more issue have y'all thought about, and since you mentioned removing sidewalks, and I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of concrete laid for this site, have you thought about the type of concrete that you're going to use instead of the completely solid kind? That I know that there's ones that aren't completely solid that allows rain to get to the soil underneath, and so it's not completely, and I can't think of the word right now, but it's just not completely solid, and it still allows for drainage and still allows for water to get to the earth.
Are you talking about it being porous?
What?
Porous?
Yes, porous, more of a porous surface.
Permeable concrete.
Permeable pavers, and then there's landscaping things. One of them's called like Silva cells, which is a different way of viewing how you irrigate plants. If you notice, streetscape trees struggle, not just by species, but the planting beds. So that would be something we want to look at from downtown. The site, a lot of those urban trees are doing very well, and some of them really aren't. So that would be something we want to look into.
I have a couple of comments. This is Pat, and I just wanted to clarify, I'm not speaking on behalf of MMTC, but I am a member. So one of them is the kind of the bike ped access to the site, and particularly looking at, north of 15th Street, getting to the site, and, perhaps a necessity of enhanced pedestrian crossing designs at that intersection, or slowing of traffic. And you mentioned the heavy traffic on 15th. So getting across there, could be a challenge, and it's not very protected there. I think the other thought that I had was just adequate bike parking, secured bike parking at the site, so that people who are biking there can leave their bikes and feel secure in leaving their bikes there. And then I don't know what you're thinking about in terms of park and ride access. You mentioned the kiss and ride aspect of it, but what about people who are for park and ride? I mean, I know the park and ride lot is, over on the other side of the hill there, but what are you envisioning as a connection between park and ride and this facility, this transfer facility?
So at this point, I think what we're going to do is, mark down that there was a comment about kiss and ride. Right now, based on the studies, I have not seen park and ride introduced into this program. At what point it was there,
Yeah.
Now, in the same token, this is a really large site. So I think we'll take down that comment and work through that. The rest of it, bike wise, I do think, this with an established bike path, I think it makes sense that if we can cater to bikes that can activate this space the way we're speaking to that, the ability to have lockers. So currently in the reports, there's lockers and short-term bike racks. But taking it a step further, for instance, I think, it could make sense to be doing bike vending. The federal government, which, some of this money is coming from, they do like the idea of seeing transit-oriented development. They won't pay for that development, but they will pay for the shell for that development. So is it possible there could be, a biking type vendor here? That's a possibility.
I think, yeah, Margareta asked if I was also referring to the access from the existing park and ride to the facility. And that was part of my question is, what would be that,
Oh, we've lost Pat's audio. Hold on, Pat. We lost your. Can you guys hear us now?
Yes.
Well, Pat, I can't hear you. Uh-oh.
Can you hear me now?
Nathan, can you speak for a second?
Yep, I can hear Pat just fine.
Cannot hear you folks. Uh-oh. You can hear us, but we can't hear you. So give me a second here. We're gonna jiggle something. I don't know yet. It just went dark. But try that now, Nathan. Can you speak?
Yep, can you hear me now?
Nope. Okay, we've lost our audio in the room.
I will go make a call.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Yes, they can hear us. So we have a question or a comment in the room.
It's kind of both. So we brought up the public safety and we're talking that, biking. One of the big aspects of this is going to be the pedestrian traffic. Okay. Whether it's on the site or getting into and from.
I'm sorry. Is that for Bob Billings specifically?
Both, but especially Bob Billings. So with these bus transfers, you're going to have a lot of pedestrians, some of which are going to be on, wheelchairs or scooters or have to move fairly slowly. And with this location, we're going to have to think carefully about the placement of sidewalks, clearly marked crosswalks, and we may have to talk about speed limits and stuff on Bob Billings. You're going to have a lot more pedestrian traffic, and you also have some ADA requirements regarding that pedestrian traffic. And so particularly with the Bob Billings site, where things are put in, how they're put in is going to really make a big difference. Downtown is more established, but that has to be thought of as well. The width of sidewalks and the obstructions that are there. For example, right now, there are planters for trees that are sometimes right in front of where the buses need to stop. Well, a person with a wheelchair or a person that has difficulty getting around can't get through those things to get on the bus. And so you're going to have a lot of that to think about. So I would take a note to think carefully about pedestrian pathways and crosswalk areas.
I think those are very well noted concerns and very common in and around multimodal facilities. And I think we did notice some of that downtown today. And it's not unknown to us that we've got a 4-lane highway with a median on Bond Billings, and we do have a local civil engineering firm working with us right now. So there will be some particular attention paid to how pedestrians will cross Bob Billings, timing for crosswalks, so that we can get people across those 5 lanes of traffic safely and timely. We will look at traffic calming. We will look at it as part of the traffic study. And, it will be noted that if we are required to take any action with that, we will have to do whatever we have to do from a permitting perspective to make that happen. But it's definitely on our radar, and I appreciate you guys bringing it up to us. We definitely want to make sure pedestrians are moving safely across that road. You have anything?
Well, not only the,
You guys can't hear anything we're saying?
yes,
Yeah,
Yes,
we can
they
hear you.
us. We can't hear them. They can hear us.
No.
Oh, IT is on the way. Here he comes down the hallway. So hopefully we'll be able to figure out how to get you guys back on. See, are there any other comments? I don't know if anybody has any simple questions that they might want to put in the comment area. They can hear us, but we can't hear them.
They could type their questions in. or
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah, they can type the comments in right now or questions. It just stopped. I don't know.
These do have a 45-minute time limit, I think.
Oh,
Zoom. That's why we stopped using Zoom.
oh, yeah.
Um,
It shouldn't. We're on a corporate account. It shouldn't.
did you sign into
Yeah.
your own account?
Yeah, it's in our company account. It shouldn't have a timeout. They can hear each other. They can hear us. We just can't hear them. Oh. Yeah, but you're not hosting it. We're hosting it, so it should.
Okay, can somebody on the far end say something?
Sure, can you hear me now?
It's Nathan, our consultant.
Hello,
You can
hello,
hear him.
hello.
So it's just this. This is the audio in this room that we can't hear.
Let's do this really quick.
Sorry,
For
folks,
everyone
just bear
on
with us for one more minute
The
here.
call, if you have any comments or thoughts, just go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll make sure that they
None of
get
this makes any sense
recorded.
whatsoever.
on the record for the meeting. I know we're running
I
short
see
on
the
time.
output coming through.
I wonder, Scott, if can we use your audio, turn your audio on your laptop, and we can at least hear what they're saying? Or are we gonna get an echo if we do that? Is 15th Street also the same as Bob Billings?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Towards the university, it turns into Bob. Okay, that's right. Okay. Okay, thank you for that clarification.
I'm sure it is, but particularly as people are going to have to cross traffic. Buildings. The transit facility. Just gotta make sure that those well designed, and if there's gonna be a slope and how that's worked with the width of sidewalks.
It just, she was talking and it just went in the
Makes
middle of
no
the
sense.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those factors that I want to make sure is being really carefully considered. Yeah, the downtown. Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna have any luck here.
Is anybody in this? Are you in the room here? Are you on this Zoom? Can I
Yes.
see your?
Scott is right here.
Okay. So what I'm trying to get is somebody a dedicated person to speak while I play with the system. And
Nathan, can you answer questions? Or if you have
Sure,
questions, he can
sure.
speak to you. He's the Skylar.
You know,
Nathan, okay.
Yep.
Honestly, if you could just start talking about anything briefly, that's the only way I'll be able to figure out how I
Sure.
can possibly get this fixed.
Well, one thing that I was going to piggyback on to Scott's
I don't
comments
want
to
to
address
restart this system.
No,
to address what both Pat, Mike, and Miss
that's why I was wondering if
Jones
we could
had
just take
talked
you off your
about
headphones
with
and
regards to
the audio
bike
through.
ped movements. Is there will be a section in the traffic study that will address
have
bicycle
someone.
pedestrian access to the site, and we'll make sure that pretty much we identify what existing facilities are in place, and then what are opportunities for improvements to help facilitate a safe
He just telling a
bicycle
story?
pedestrian access
Singing a
to the
song?
I feel
site.
like I can hear him too, though.
And so that will be part of the traffic study. And then, once we get the pedestrians and the bicyclists to the site, then during the site design process, it'll all be ADA compliant. And, we deal with that every day on our site development projects. So, bicycle pedestrian safety is definitely going to be a major thing to think about when it comes to these sites.
Yeah, so if they're talking, it's just not coming through speakers here.
Thank you for that, Nathan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
What if you turn that up?
It's getting a signal. The thing is, the room isn't broadcasting the signal. That's where there's a mute on somewhere, and I can't figure out where it's at.
Yeah, we didn't touch anything.
This flash off the black screen.
Nathan, this is Michael.
Yeah.
I guess my
Right, exactly.
there was never really an answer
Change
to
the transmission fluid.
more of a porous surface for this area.
Sure.
Well, I'm sorry, folks, that we can't hear you.
So with regards to that question,
I know there's
we
some people
do
that have to get
have
to other meetings. We hate to keep you all. But I think if you don't have our contact information, which I think most of you might have, if you don't have it and you have other commentary, or you want to have a one-on-one conversation with any of us on our team, you can feel free to reach right out to Adam, or reach out to us directly, and we'll be happy to set up a one-on-one call with you. And again, like, even if you just want to give us commentary in an email, that's fine as well. I really apologize. I'm not sure what's going on here, but hopefully we'll figure it out.
So with regards to porous pavement and pervious pavers and those kind of things, there's definitely that's one of the things we will look at. We have some other stakeholder meetings later today and tomorrow, I believe. One specifically is on sustainability.
No, there's no sound here.
And
well, with that, everyone, I don't think we're gonna be able to get this to work here on our end.
One of those things will
Scott
be
can hear you though. So if you have more questions, I can just give Scott the microphone.
Pavers, especially where we live in the Midwest, where we have a bunch of sand and salt.
Can they hear you through there?
Or specifically weather events. The problem with it is that salt and that sand gets down into those voids that help it drain, and it basically clogs it. And so there's a cost savings benefit analysis that goes through that. But that's one of the things we will consider, and we talk about when we talk about our sustainability, both with the city staff, KU staff, and the whole design team as a whole. We will look at one of those things like that. Not saying that it may end up being taken out of consideration, but it is one of the things we will consider. And then also along those same lines is we will go through a stormwater study as the site goes through its normal permitting process, where we'll look at options of either above ground or not above ground, but surface detention for like a detention pond, and whether we can turn that into some kind of water feature for if it says a visual amenity, or whether we do underground detention storage or something like that. So it's all part of our sustainability approach that the design team is looking at.
Is that sustainability stakeholder meeting? I wasn't aware of that. Is that something that the sustainability board would be able to attend?
Let's see. I think
that's planned for tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's in the overall agenda. So again, you can register in person or just join the Zoom call. But that's going to be a larger group within that'll be a larger part of our group. So we'll be bringing in some virtual people. One is our sustainability and resiliency director within our company. We'll be bringing in our energy group to talk about baseline energy modeling. We're bringing in our battery electric bus people, and I believe we'll be getting into photovoltaics and water quality and things like that as well. So,
yep.
So it's pretty high level, but I think it's pretty entertaining. I also wanted to say we are going to capture that comment that that we didn't get back in time for Connie to be here, but we'll make sure that we have. We'll make sure we have that comment, that connection to the existing park and ride would be important.
The city does limit the amount of stormwater runoff from KU, so there is that requirement this project will have to meet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Gary, when we're out there on site, Scott and myself and Kevin Sterrett, our site engineering lead, that whole site drains to the northwest towards the corner, and I think that really leads itself to some kind of detention feature there, whether it's detention ponds or wet detention pond, or something that you could have it terraced where it'll look really nice, and do some kind of bioplantings in there, bioretention cells or something that it'll both treat the water quality and then also help retain some of the water for discharge purposes.
Or it could be underground and not even seen.
Yep, absolutely. That's definitely one of the tools in our toolbox, depending on just kind of how the site lends itself.
Yeah, we got to figure out the size of the building to know how much site you got to play with.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, see, it's working on everybody's computer, but it's not working in the room. That's where I'm totally confused by this.
Oh.
It's picking me up.
Back.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that you gotta turn off your mute. Because you're picking up on the microphone.
Okay. Hear me now?
Pretty much. We've just ran into sort of this one. I just can't seem to get it to work.
Okay. Can you hear me now? No, it's back on. So I guess so we'll be covering sustainability tomorrow. One thing about the water quality and quantity, it would be nice if we could to get the idea of some green roofs in there. Yeah, that's always a good way of slowing down the water runoff. So that's all things we'll be getting into.
Want to watch everybody's time and be respectful. We will probably reach back out to make sure we capture all your comments as well. We are looking at the solar panels. I see your comment, Michael. We'd love to help get your input on prioritizing different sustainability features and weighing the costs and everything like that. But we're definitely looking at it, and yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, you're fine.
This is one of these people are still.
All righty. Well, if there's more comments, certainly reach out to the group. We'll record them and make sure it goes into the program and thoughts, or just add it to the chat here. But I appreciate all your time.